and welcome to Assembly Calendar. I'm Mike Friesen. With us for our program today, Assemblyman Tom Alfano. Tom Alfano represents the 21st Assembly District in New York State, an Assembly District that includes the villages of Floral Park, New Hyde Park, Stewart Manor, and Belrose. And we want to thank you folks all throughout those communities and all across the 21st District for joining us for our program today. Tom Alfano, thank you for being here.
Good to be here.
News coming out of Albany, fairly obvious. The beginning of a new legislative session. We've already heard from the governor in his State of the State message this year. Let's talk a little bit about the big issues facing Long Islanders. We're hearing some from the executive chamber. You must be pleased in the way of property tax relief. Number one issue for Long Island.
Well, we certainly have the highest taxes in New York State. That's well documented, and it's time to do something about it, something more about it. It's time to improve STAR program. It's time to get spending under control. And it's time to give our property taxpayers a well-deserved rate reduction.
As we focus on the villages and the communities that you represent, you've been hearing it from the people that you've talked to in the market and at various community events. They're finding it hard to stay living in the 21st District.
It costs a lot of money, plain and simple. I mean, our property taxes are very, very high, and it creates devastating consequences to senior citizens and ordinary citizens whose income cannot possibly keep pace with annual increases. And that's what happens. The increases are annual. You can count on them, unfortunately. And whereas people's jobs, the increases are not commensurate with the property tax increases.
So Albany's looking to get a little bit creative this year. There's been talk of abolishing school property taxes on one end of the spectrum, and on just some way at all to try to keep things down. The governor is talking of putting together a commission to look into this. There's some excitement generated by that.
Well, we need the help. Something needs to be done, some new creative thinking outside the box. The governor in his State of the State message said, pointed Tom Swazi, who's our county executive in Long Island, someone who's basically committed to property tax reduction. And I know Tom very well, and he's going to work very hard, and he's a bit of an iconoclast. He's not afraid to break windows, afraid in order to get things done. So I'm looking forward to his commission's findings and responses because, quite frankly, we cannot continue on the path that we're on. The financial stress on Long Island is significant and getting worse by the day. And this is a national phenomenon also in terms of the economy. We know what's going on in the economy. We're in the worst pre-recession we've had in a long time, and this doesn't help Long Islanders either.
This is Albany, so it's not all good news here at the state capitol. We're starting to hear from the governor about his budget plans this year, and some of what we're hearing early on from the executive chamber doesn't sound all too good for Long Island schools.
No, it doesn't. And one of the things we pride ourselves on in Long Island is having great schools. That's why people move to Long Island. That's why people stay on Long Island, for the education, for the children, for what we can give them. And the governor's State of the State message, he just alluded to it, but today is when we get down to brass tacks. Today is the day the governor delivers his budget address. I will be there, hanging on every word, and what the preliminary word is, and it's not good for us on Long Island. What he is saying essentially is that we get too much state aid for education, and he wants to cut our shares from 13% to 8%. He pulled the same thing last year, and we stopped him. We went to the mat on this issue because the consequences of cutting our state aid from shares from 13% to 8% are devastating to property tax owners on Long Island. Devastating. And I don't throw that word around every week. It's very, very serious. And you could rest assured that the Senate majority, led by Senator Dean Skelos, as he did a magnificent job last year in preventing this from happening, will be there again, along with myself and my colleagues in the Assembly minority, because we can't allow this to happen. Because, Mike, without exaggeration, the consequences will be quite, quite serious for property tax owners.
We'll quote one of your favorite ball players, Yogi Berra, and say this is the deja vu all over again, because it was just last year. You were successful in that battle last year.
When you're unwilling to say, that we're going to get a cut from 13 to 8%, when you draw a line in the sand and you're willing to have a late budget, you're willing to do whatever it takes to win the battle, someone else blinked. It was the governor. We did not blink. And we cannot blink again because we represent too many people back home who will not be able to continue to pay these exorbitant property taxes if our shares are indeed cut. And to show you how bad it is, even special education, which is, sacrosanct, that's something that's very important to anyone who has a bit of a heart. The governor's proposal is to cut that by $9 million in Nassau and Suffolk County. Now, that doesn't make any sense. Of all the areas to cut some other, there are a lot of agencies in the New York State budget. There are a lot of agencies. There are a lot of people who don't do a damn thing in their day in and day out state government jobs. Maybe we should look at them. Maybe we should take the knife out and cut the fat in state government, because we know it's there. But I don't think it's there when it comes to education in as far as the budget goes, and reducing us from 13 to 8, while cutting special education by $9 million, cutting foundation aid, which is the real dollars that are used by the school districts, from 3% to 2%. I don't think that's the way to go. And we've made that clear to the governor. We're going to make it clear again to the governor after his speech, and then that will be the fight of the session.
As we use this program today to focus in again on the various villages located throughout Tom Alfano's Assembly District, we turn, as we are talking about the schools and the good things that are happening there, to the Floral Park High School, which won a fantastic award this year, the U.S. News and World Report Silver Award for Academic Excellence. You already got that proud look on your face.
It's a magnificent honor, and it's rarely granted. And it took a lot of hard work from the school board and the principal, Kathy Satile, who's a wonderful woman, and dedicated faculty. I had the privilege of being there recently to congratulate them and to give them a member item. And it's just a beautiful school, and it's very well run, and the families of the students there and the students themselves should be extraordinarily proud of this great achievement.
On to other issues facing Floral Park.